My name is Clara, and I'm 29. This is the story of the most difficult period of my life, a time that felt like a long, dark winter. It's not easy to revisit, but I want to share it. Perhaps someone listening will understand me. Perhaps my story can make someone else feel a little less alone in their own struggles. I met Mark when I was 24 years old. He was my first real love, the first person I built my world around. I loved him with everything I had. He had a way of making me feel like the center of the universe, the only woman he could see. In the beginning, his kindness was a comfort. He'd bring me coffee on late work nights and send sweet text messages that made me smile throughout the day. When I caught the flu, he stayed by my side, a constant, reassuring presence. I believed with all my heart that his love was real. I trusted him completely. I gave him everything I could offer, my affection, my time, my devotion, and all my dreams for the future. After a year together, we decided to move into an apartment. It was a modest place, cozy and just big enough for the two of us. We split the rent, the groceries, and all the bills. I worked as a receptionist at a dental office, while he had a good job in it, earning significantly more than I did. Despite that, we lived a simple life. We cooked meals together, watched movies on the couch, and took long walks in the evenings. I was happy. I truly thought this was what love was meant to be. Of course, we had our arguments, the small disagreements that every couple faces. He grew irritable if I asked too many questions, telling me I worried too much. He disliked it when I called him frequently, insisting that I should trust him more. I often felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach when I was around him, but I convinced myself that these were normal relationship problems. I was terrified of losing him, so I learned to be quiet. I never raised my voice. I was always the first to apologize. I thought I was being a good partner, that I was doing the right thing to keep the peace. But then, something shifted. One day at work, I felt a sharp, unfamiliar pain in my abdomen. It started as a dull ache, but intensified over a few hours, until it became unbearable. I couldn't sit, stand, or walk without wincing. My face grew pale and my hands felt like ice. A coworker noticed my distress and, seeing my condition worsen, called for an ambulance. I was rushed to the hospital, overwhelmed by fear and the searing pain. After a quick examination, the doctor told me I needed emergency surgery. It was my appendix, and it was dangerously inflamed. If we waited any longer, it could rupture. Fear gripped me. I was all alone. All I wanted was for Mark to be there, to hold my hand and tell me everything was going to be okay. I called him just before they prepped me for the surgery, my voice trembling. "Mark, I'm in the hospital. I need an operation tonight," I managed to say. A moment of silence hung on the line. Then he replied, "Okay, I'll come by tomorrow morning." His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. There was no "Are you okay?" "No, don't worry, I'm on my way." Just okay. I felt a small piece of my heart crack, but I rationalized it, telling myself he must be in shock or tied up with work. The next morning, I woke up in a haze of pain and exhaustion in the hospital room. The nurse gently helped me sit up. I scanned the room, expecting to see him. I waited. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. He never came. I checked my phone, no missed calls, no text messages, nothing. I sent him a short message. "Are you coming?" He replied half an hour later. "I'm busy, something came up. I'll try to get there later." That was it. No questions about my health, no expression of concern. I felt tears welling up in my eyes. Later that day, a nurse came in with a kind smile. "Has anyone come to visit you today?" she asked gently. I just shook my head, unable to speak, fighting back the tears. She looked at me with sympathy. "Try to get some rest, dear, you'll be all right." But I wasn't all right. My body was in pain, but my heart was hurting far more. I remained in the hospital for 3 more days. Mark never came, he never called, he never sent another message. My mind raced with questions. Was he angry with me? Had he grown tired of our relationship? I tried to push the thoughts away, but the ache in my heart deepened with each passing day. On the 4th day, the doctor gave me the clear to go home. I sent Mark a message. "I'm being discharged today. Can you come pick me up?" An hour later, his reply came. "I'm at work. Just take a taxi." That was all he wrote. No apology, no affection. I couldn't comprehend his coldness. A chill ran through me and my hands began to shake. A nurse helped me into a wheelchair. "Is someone on their way to get you?" she asked. I lied. "Yes," I whispered, knowing full well that no one was coming for me. Outside, I hailed a taxi and sat in the back seat alone. My stomach ached from the surgery, but the pain in my heart was 1,000 times worse. I wanted to cry, but I felt empty, as if I had no tears left. When I arrived at our apartment, an eerie silence greeted me. I opened the door and stepped inside. Something was wrong. His shoes were gone from the rack. His coat was missing from the hook. His books were gone from the shelf. I walked into the bedroom. His side of the closet was empty. His laptop was gone from the desk. I stood frozen in the middle of the room, my legs feeling like they would give out. Then I saw it, a single piece of paper on the kitchen table. His handwriting was neat and simple. "I think it's better if we take a break. Don't call me." That was all. No explanation, no goodbye, no reason. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I slowly sank to the floor, my body trembling uncontrollably. I buried my face in my hands and I wept. I cried with the raw, guttural sobs of a lost child. He had left me. He had left me while I was lying in a hospital bed. He had abandoned me without a single word of explanation. He hadn't even had the decency to wait for me to come home. He simply did not care. I felt like I was nothing, like a piece of trash to be thrown away. That night, sleep was impossible. I lay on the couch, too weak to eat, too broken to stand. I kept staring at the door, a foolish part of me hoping he would walk back through it. Finally, I called my best friend, Sophie. I told her everything through choked sobs. She arrived immediately, carrying a container of warm soup and soft bread. She wrapped her arms around me and let me cry on her shoulder. She cleaned the kitchen and helped me to the bathroom, as I was still weak from the surgery. She stayed with me through the night. In the days that followed, I couldn't bring myself to go to work. I stayed in bed, staring at my phone, but Mark never called. I felt completely lost. I tormented myself with questions. Was I not good enough? Was I too needy? Was I too boring? Sophie visited me every day. She made sure I ate and helped me shower. One day, she sat beside me and said, "Clara, he's gone, but you're still here. You are still breathing. That means you are strong." That night, I forced myself to look in the mirror. My eyes were swollen and red, my face gaunt and pale. But she was right. I was still here. I was shattered, but I was alive. I made a promise to myself. "You will not let this destroy you." But I knew it would take a long, long time to heal. Before I continue my story, I want to ask, where are you listening from? Knowing that someone is hearing me, that my voice is reaching you, gives me the strength to go on. The first few weeks after Mark left were a blur of pain. Every morning I would wake up, and for a brief, blissful second, I would forget he was gone. Then my eyes would drift to the other side of the bed, to the cold, empty space beside me. There were no more good mornings, no more gentle smiles, no more warm hands on my back. I spent most of my days in bed, watching the sky change through my window. Some days it was a brilliant blue, other days it was gray with rain. It made no difference to me. Inside, I felt the same, empty, lost, and profoundly alone. Sophie was my lifeline during this time. She came to my apartment almost every day. She brought food, helped me clean, and just sat with me. Sometimes I didn't have the energy to talk, but she stayed anyway, a quiet presence by my side. She would hold my hand and tell me, "You don't have to be strong right now. It's okay to feel broken, but one day you will stand up again and I'll be right here when you do." Her words were a small flicker of hope in my darkness. After 2 weeks, I forced myself to return to the clinic. My boss was incredibly understanding. "Take it easy," she said. "Just do what you can." My coworkers treated me with a gentle kindness, their eyes full of unspoken sympathy. They knew something terrible had happened. I put on a smile and told everyone I was fine, but it was a mask. I just wanted to feel normal again, but I was a long way from normal. One afternoon, I stopped at a small cafe near my work. I sat by the window, sipping a cup of tea, and watched the people on the street. I saw couples holding hands, friends laughing, people walking alone. A pang of jealousy hit me. Why did Mark abandon me? What had I done so wrong? The questions echoed in my mind, but there were no answers. One evening, Sophie asked me a simple question. "Do you still love him?" I was silent for a long time. Finally, I said, "I don't know, maybe I loved the person I thought he was, but now I don't even know who he is." She nodded. "That's okay," she said. "Feelings are complicated, but you are getting better." I didn't believe her at first, but slowly I began to see she was right. A month after he left, I started making small changes. I began cleaning the apartment myself. I took short walks in the evening air. I started reading again. I even bought myself a bouquet of flowers and placed them on the kitchen table, a small splash of life in the quiet space. The pain was still there, a constant, dull ache in my chest, but it no longer consumed me. Then one day, a message popped up on my phone. It was from Mark. My heart leaped into my throat. The message was short. "Hey, I hope you're okay." That was it. No apology, no explanation. I stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity. A part of me wanted to scream at him, to ask him why he could be so cruel. Another part just wanted to delete it and pretend it never happened. I closed the message and shut off my phone. That night, the tears returned, but they were different. I wasn't crying because I missed him. I was crying out of anger. I had given him my love, my care, my everything. And he had walked away from me at my absolute lowest point. I was in the hospital, sick and scared, and he left. He hadn't just left our apartment. He had abandoned my heart and thrown away our shared memories as if they were meaningless. The next day, I told Sophie about the message. She looked at me with steady eyes and said, "You don't owe him a response. He had his chance and he threw it away." I knew she was right. I deleted the message and blocked his number. A wave of peace washed over me. A few weeks later, something new happened. I met someone named Leo. He was the new IT specialist at the clinic. He was quiet, polite, and had a kind smile. He fixed an issue with my computer one day, and when I thanked him, he simply said, "Anytime." That was how it began. We started with small talk, a few words each day. Then one morning, he brought me a coffee. "I remembered you said you like it this way," he said. I was taken aback by his thoughtfulness. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled a genuine smile. I didn't tell Leo about Mark. It felt too soon. I was still healing. But it felt nice to talk to someone new. He was a good listener, and he never pried. I felt calm around him, not anxious. I felt safe. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was a glimmer of something hopeful. One Sunday afternoon, I went for a walk by myself. I passed the park where Mark and I used to spend time. For a moment, a wave of sadness washed over me. But then I looked around. I saw children playing, dogs chasing balls, people laughing, and I was there walking among them. I was alive. I was healing. I told myself, you have come this far, you can keep going. That night I wrote in my journal, today I walked alone and I felt okay. Mark is in the past. I am not waiting for him. I am not waiting for an apology. I am moving on. As I closed the book, a small, real smile touched my lips. I don't know what the future holds with Leo. Maybe it will blossom into something more, maybe it won't. But I know one thing for certain now. I will never again give my heart to someone who would leave me in my darkest hour. I will never beg for kindness or care. I deserve a love that stays, a love that holds my hand when I'm scared, a love that doesn't walk away when I'm lying in a hospital bed. I still remember the pain, but I also see how far I've come. And I am proud of myself for learning to stand on my own 2 feet again. A few more months passed. I felt a profound shift within myself. I was stronger. Life wasn't perfect, but I found joy in the little things again. I'd wake up early, make my own coffee, and listen to music in the quiet morning light. I went to work feeling calm and centered. I even started laughing more freely, a sound I had almost forgotten. The wound in my heart was still there, but it was a scar now, not an open gash. It no longer controlled my life. Leo and I grew closer. We discovered a shared love for books. One day during our lunch break, I asked him what kind of stories he enjoyed. He smiled and said, "I like stories with hope." I looked at him and replied, "Me too." We started spending our lunch breaks together regularly. He told me about his hometown and his mischievous cat named Max, showing me funny pictures of him sleeping in absurd positions. His easygoing nature made me laugh, and it felt wonderful. One Friday evening, Leo asked, "Would you like to get a coffee after work?" I hesitated for a moment, a flicker of old fear rising up. But then I pushed it aside and said yes. We walked to a quiet little shop, the evening air cool and crisp. We talked about simple things, our jobs, favorite foods, books we were reading. He never asked about my past, and I didn't ask about his. I felt completely at ease with him. That night I fell asleep with a smile on my face. Our friendship deepened over the next few weeks. We met at the park on weekends and talked for hours. Sometimes we would just sit in a comfortable silence, which felt just as good. One afternoon, I felt ready to be honest with him. "I just want you to know I'm not ready for anything serious," I said. "I'm still healing." He looked at me with gentle eyes and said, "That's okay, I'm not in a hurry." His simple words meant the world to me. He wasn't pushing me and he wasn't running away. He was just there. One day, the unexpected happened. I was walking home from the grocery store when I saw Mark. He was with another woman, her arm linked through his. They were laughing together. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. He didn't see me. I stood across the street and watched them for a moment before turning and walking away. My hands felt cold, and my eyes welled up, but I didn't cry. That night I sat on my bed, replaying the scene in my mind. I asked myself, do I miss him? And the answer, clear as day, was no. I didn't miss him, but I felt a pang of sadness, not for myself, but for the woman on his arm. I hoped he wouldn't hurt her the way he hurt me. I hoped he had changed. But in my heart, I knew people like him rarely do. The next morning, I woke up with a new sense of purpose. I went to my closet and pulled out an old box. Inside were photos of Mark and me, old birthday cards, little notes, and a scarf he had given me. I looked at each item one last time, acknowledging the memories, both good and bad. Then I put everything into a trash bag and carried it outside to the bin. When I walked back inside, I felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I felt free. I called Sophie and told her what I had done. "I'm so proud of you," she said. "You've finally let go." I smiled. "Yes," I replied. "I think I really have." The days that followed were gentle and calm. Leo and I continued to grow closer. One Sunday, we went to the lake. As we sat on a bench watching the sun glitter on the water, I turned to him. "Thank you," I said, "for being so patient with me." He looked back at me, his gaze warm and steady. "You're worth the wait," he said. In that moment, I felt my heart open up just a little bit more. I wasn't in love yet, but for the first time, I wasn't afraid of it either. I was starting to believe again. I believed that true love doesn't abandon you when you are in pain. It doesn't run away when you are broken. True love holds your hand, listens to your fears, and waits patiently for you to heal. A full year after Mark left me, I looked back on my journey and felt an immense sense of pride. I was no longer the girl who cried alone on the floor. I was no longer the girl who desperately waited for a message that would never come. I was not the girl who had to beg for love. I was a woman who had pulled herself up from the depths of despair. A woman who had healed her own wounds. A woman who had learned, finally, how to love herself first. I know now that being alone is infinitely better than being with someone who makes you feel alone. I know that real love is built on a foundation of respect and kindness. I know that healing is a slow process, but it is always possible. And I know that the absolute worst moment of my life was also the beginning of my truest one. Mark was a chapter in my past. Leo was a potential new sentence. But the story was mine to write. And for the first time in a long time, I was the one holding the pen.